Hi, Mindy from Earth Balance. Today I'm going to show you how to really quickly make a lacto fermented tomato sauce. Now we only need a few ingredients to make this. It's super healthy for your gut bacteria and it's something that will keep for a very long time. So what I'm going to use is I use organic tomato paste. I get this from Aldi. It's very cheap and the only ingredients on the back are 100% organic tomatoes. In these tins there's 140 grams. The recipe calls for 170 grams, so it's usually about a tin and a half that we'll be using to make this. I use honey as well as the sweetener for the sauce. This honey comes from Raymond Island, which is probably about 25 kilometres from here, and some spices which I'll run through in a minute. And this is some whey that's been left over from yogurt making. So that's organic yogurt that's been made, it's dairy, that's going to go in, and that's going to be our lacto fermentation bacteria that's going to make the sauce. So, and some apple cider vinegar. The apple cider vinegar that we use is organic and it has the mother. So the mother in the apple cider vinegar is very important for health, as it contains all of the goodness that you need from the vinegar for regulating pH, promoting good bacteria in your guts, and basically good health all around. So I'm going to start by, I'm going to use my Thermomix to mix it, but you don't need to use a Thermomix, you can just mix it by hand, it's that simple. But for the ease of this recipe, I'm going to weigh in 170 grams. On the Thermomix the scales have come up there and they're zeroed in, so I'm going to weigh it in now. So we're up to 125. I think when you get cans from the store it weighs the can as well. So we have 170 there. So that was about a can and a half, and I'll use that for another recipe later on. Just going to mix my spoon, and then I'm going to add a spice mix. This is a blend of 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, black pepper, cinnamon and some ground cloves, and a bit of salt. So I don't like too much salt because the tomato paste is very concentrated, so I find that gives it quite a strong flavour. So I'm going to put those spices in, just on top of the tomato paste there. And then I'm going to add my whey from the yogurt, which is 2 tablespoons of leftover whey from the yogurt. You can use sauerkraut, some of the sauce from the sauerkraut that comes out when you drain it. You can use kefir whey as well. Anything that has a lacto fermented bacteria will be fine. So pour that in, whatever you've got. And apple cider vinegar, 1/4 cup. So I've just measured that in there and I'm pouring it straight into the mix. And then I'm going to put the honey. So honey is depending on your preference. It will activate the lacto fermented bacteria. So you will need at least 2 tablespoons. I'm going to use about 3 to give it a bit of sweetness and to regulate the tomato paste. So I'll put our first tablespoon in. This honey is delicious, it's beautiful, it smells beautiful when you open it. All local. Getting as locally grown as possible is one of the best things you can do, and we're very lucky where I live to be able to have access to locally grown produce. So there we go, the 3 tablespoons are in there, it's looking nice and sticky. You can also add just a little bit of water. I only usually put probably about 2 tablespoons of water in, just to give it a bit of fluid. And then I'm going to put this on, and we'll just mix that, the measuring cup in, for about 30 seconds on speed through, just till it all comes together. And then you'll find that the mixture will be all kind of gooey and a little bit runny. After it ferments on the bench for about 24 hours, you'll find that it starts to thicken up, especially when you put it in the fridge. And so it's nearly mixed. We're going to put it into a glass jar when it's finished, cover with a cloth, and we're going to leave that on the bench for about 24 to 48 hours, and then that will ferment, and you can keep this in your fridge for weeks without it going off. I'd say about 3 weeks to be safe. And we're done. You'll see as I pour this out, the consistency is very much like tomato sauce. So I'm going to pour this into the jar now. You get about probably a bit over a cup doing this, but you can always double the recipe. I find it, because it's so strong, that you don't need to use much as a condiment. So I find that a cup at a time is enough, and it's so simple to make that it doesn't take much at all for you to just whip up another batch. And when we let it sit, it thickens up beautifully. It has a lovely consistency and it smells amazing coming out of the bowl. This is great with some fresh homemade hot chips fried in coconut oil. Delicious. The kids love it as well, and it's really good for that gut bacteria, promoting healthy digestion, helping with things like indigestion, tummy bugs, things like that. If you're on antibiotics, eating sauce like this is really, really good for you. Commercially available tomato sauce has additives in it, high fructose corn syrup, things that you just don't need and are not nutritionally valuable. So making your own is simple and delicious. So that's out now, and I'm just going to show you in the jar how it looks. It tastes fantastic. I'm going to cover that with a cloth now and a rubber band, and we're going to let that sit. I'm going to let that sit for 24 to 48 hours. Thank you.